enjoy ClickUp. I am very much enjoying ClickUp. It has been like so cool. Okay, let's share the whole screen so that if I need to open anything else, we have it. Okay, so this is one of the views that I've created for this list. And this one is sorted and grouped by the frequency. And I have used the list that Tracy sent me from Bellingham and kind of my own, what I did as an electronics resource librarian, to kind of think about things that needed to be checked on. Now, some of these incorporate scheduled reports and jobs, and so they may be more or less intensive as far as completing them. So you can see this first way that I've organized the tasks. Tasks are the atomic units of ClickUp, and so I have a contacts list, for example, and each contact, each one of you is a task, but that's just because that is how they do it. So here's the by frequency. I have weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, and then as needed. And sometimes that's like when things go wrong. Sometimes that means like when being activated. Then I have by system. And I've organized this one more like what you'd think of as it's a Kanban board, a Trello style board. And so we have Alma things, Primo things, things with your website, CTC link things, e-resources management, acquisitions things. You can't get rid of complete, so it's just sitting there. And so this one is kind of nice because, so like, for example, Lily and I yesterday were just taking a look at this during another conversation. And so like, we've got update title lists on e-resource management, but we also have it here in the Alma list. So we're able to kind of split apart what that workflow and instruction may look like depending on the role. So if you have two different people in the role, yeah, Abby.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but the link that you sent, unless I don't know where to click, I'm just seeing the by frequency list, but this is also cool.
So the limitations of ClickUp and public sharing is that you can only publicly share one view per link. So I can go ahead and share this view as well and throw it in the chat. Okay, so that should be the by system one. And then this one is one where if you exported this one for your own institution, you would get the frequency information, and it's called status, but the system, and then any of the comments as well would show up, but you can add who would be doing it and then be able to sort by, oh, this is me, this is someone else, whatever. So I just kind of created this one for the exportableness at the institution level. I'm trying to create this as a template for you guys, so I wouldn't put anything in here unless the assignee was me, and it was a consortium level kind of thing. So anyway, I thought that we could either go by frequency or by system and just kind of like add things, and this can be like real rough, add things that you do or that you think maybe you should do, and maybe it'd be easiest to go by system And then we can, you know, like maybe some people do it monthly and other people do it quarterly, and we can have a discussion about that. So yeah, so we have Alma, and you can actually, what's cool is I can also filter by like the frequency here. I can add, and so you could just see all of the weekly tasks for each of the systems if you wanted. And I can group by other things. And then every task can have unlimited subtasks, as well as when you open this up. So here's one I started working on today. So weekly on Sunday nights, the automatic synchronized changes from community zone job runs. And so that should just be set up. However, you may want to be checking on what those changes were, because if you have an electronic collection that's not set up for like automatic updates or whatever. So I wrote like where in Alma it is. So under resources, manage inventory, and CZ updates task list. And I wrote up some of my own notes, these first two things. And then I just copied from Alma what their kind of recommendation is on that. And since that job automatically runs weekly, you know, like ideally you check it weekly, and then there's very little that you have to edit or correct. Theoretically, there should never be that much, because hopefully everything's, you know, doing it correctly. However, if you do have collections that are not set to auto update, and portfolios or added or deleted in the CZ update, that does not happen. So for example, if you have a collection that was a one-time purchase, and so you have it set to not auto update, linking information does get updated, bibliographic information gets updated for the portfolios that you have at your institution. But if like a title gets deleted from that collection, that portfolio won't get deleted. So you may need to review the actions that happened in the updates task list, and then go in and do that manually for your institution. So yeah, so this was one that I was just kind of starting to build out, but you could say like, so new subtask would be like, make sure this job is running, and then, you know, like open task updates, click review tab, however many notes you needed for subtask. This one doesn't probably need that many, but what's cool is you can also do checklist, and you might say, okay, those sound a lot the same. But this is where the complexity of ClickUp can get very cool. So with tasks and subtasks, you can set dependencies. So if you're always forgetting to do a thing that you need to do before something else, you can set that subtask to say it is dependent on this earlier subtask being completed before I do this. So if you're like, I always forget this step in e-activation, you could create a dependency that would say, oh, don't go do this until you've done that other thing. With a checklist, order doesn't matter. So order checklists aren't going to have dependency relationships. You can also add attachments. So if you wanted to do like screen shares, you can do additional comments. So this is all in the description of the task, but if you wanted to put in a comment for like, this person is responsible unless they're on sabbatical, and then don't worry about this task, or unless they're on sabbatical and then someone else has to take it over, or everything will burn to the ground. So you can just kind of like make notes on that. There's a lot of additional functionality, but I'm keeping this one pretty simple.
Carly, does it give you like reminders also?
Yeah, so you can set a due date here. And so like if you've got something that's monthly, you can do it and then reset the due date for next month. And if you are, so like you've got your ClickUp user thing, and I'm not using it, but under notifications, it will tell you like you've got these due dates, or you've been added to these tasks, or and you can organize your day based on these notifications. I don't have due dates on anything right now, and I turned off a lot of the notifications because it was just telling me that I created a task. Because right now this is me and then I made Tim like a watcher on it, because we do a little like weekly what did Carly work on. But I could like if so the services manager is a member of this Whack to Click workspace, and so I can add members to this workspace, and then to the different, so a workspace is on top of the dashboards, so I could add people to projects or support requests, or just to a specific list within a different space. I can create a personal dashboard, or a like a space dashboard that would show visualization on how much time was spent on something, how many deadlines have passed, how many people are involved in it. It's kind of crazy. You can add actual documents to these. So if you have like a really great PowerPoint that has a bunch of graphics that explains the workflow of something, then you could add it on here. You can also, it integrates into a lot of different things. So I have integrated it into Chrome and into Office 365. And so from my email, if you guys like send me a, hey, I'm having a problem with the thing, I literally just have a little logo and I create a task in my little tickets. So actually this week has had a lot of stuff going on. And so I have things like that are basically like, yeah, they're there. And then things that I'm kind of like working on some, I don't know that needs clarity. I made up these statuses and they're whatever, they're in development perhaps. Like this one is working with someone outside of me, like, not just a me thing. And then here are all the things I'm working on. And you can see like I've put in comments and notes, and I've added like emails to some of them. But so like Abby's email, I just have the email. So then I'm like, boop, there it is. And I don't have to like go back to Outlook to review the details of it.
That's
And then
insane. That's
yeah,
insane.
and then as I'm like working on it, I can make comments. I can track my time working on it. And this way, even once it's resolved, I still have all of the notes on the stuff that I've resolved since I started using this system anyway. So that if someone else is like, oh, I have this issue, then I'm not like searching through a crazy OneNote that's specific to me, because this is tied to the Whack to Click Gmail account. So it's not a Carly thing. It will just live So anyway, yeah. So I've got all kinds of, like, what's really cool is like if you're doing any website like redesign work or usability stuff, they have a lot of like UX and web design tools that I had not found anywhere that were free before. So like I was trying to find someplace to map website organization, and you know, like you're drawing boxes and lines and it's a total pain. And this does take a second to load, but they have a responsive whiteboard view, and you can add notes and collaborate and highlight and add stickies and draw lines, and there's like a lot of color coding, which you can't get. Oh, come on. Okay. Nope. Okay, yeah. So like you can see I was just kind of like playing around. I added a sticky and I circled a thing. And you know, like you can just drag stuff. So this was just a template that I was playing with, but to see, but like trying to find a website mapping tool that's free and not ridiculously convoluted is very difficult. So I was like, this is neat. So anyway, or like they had one for trip planning. So I can like put in where I'm going and it'll give me times, and I can like put in dates and, you know, how much meals are going to be, like when I'm going to be, how long I'm going to be gone, what hotel I'm staying at, and it'll just, it integrates into Google Maps. So then I just have my route. I thought this would be a good one. I was trying to see what this like V2 Mom thing was. Somebody was talking about it. And so I just grabbed one of their templates. And it's like, it's a employee like evaluation and development tool. So sorry. Yeah, so anyway, but yeah, okay, in chat, Kirsty, okay, situation where individually purchased ebooks were deleted in the CZ.
That was when you were talking about the task for checking the community zone updates.
Yeah, so rethinking how you activate your community zone electronic collections for purchased versus subscription e-resources. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like if you have perpetual access to something, but you've used a community zone portfolio to create that record in your institution zone, you probably don't want to make it automatic update, because then, although it says that if a portfolio is deleted at the community zone, theoretically it should have been localized and not deleted in your institution zone.
Yeah, that's,
but I can imagine
it
it's not
deactivated.
consistent.
Yeah, they haven't been deleted, but they've been deactivated, which then means that nobody can find them.
Yeah. So yeah, you could, I guess you could go in and manually reactivate.
Yeah, and that's what we're having to do. Is we've now got a report that our cataloger checks regularly for portfolios in specific collections that are deactivated but not deleted. When
To
she
see
runs
if
across them, then she has to go and try and find the new portfolio and activate that, and like relink the bib record and the POL, and and then delete the old portfolio record. And so we're thinking, it might just be easier in the long run to create completely local collections for, for the ebooks that we're buying in perpetuity.
Yeah, I think that is the way Whitworth did it, because I mean they were fully using the acquisitions model, so it kind of like it wasn't that big a deal. They my acquisitions person would create the POL, and then I would send her the portfolio or whatever it was, and then our systems person would just localize it and it would be attached to the POL, and then we just didn't mess with it again. But so the subtasks will show up under each task. And so we could add, so like under analytics reports. So we could add subtask of let's say check sushi for major vendors, and then we'll have usage. I'll make up a dashboard, trends dashboard, data sent to director, and equipment usage data sent to IT, and course reserves data sent to student success. Okay, so now we have these subtasks, and it says, oh, we have 4 subtasks. And if we look at frequency, we can open that up and see all of them, or we can collapse. I'm guessing that we could also change this. So say the director only wants things quarterly, and student success wants things monthly, and IT just wants annually per budget. And checking sushi for major vendors, hopefully it's not getting messed up that often, so that's annually. And so now we have a monthly task, but it's got subtasks like this. And then let's say that this is actually a primo task. Now we've made it, we've coded it as a primo, and this is actually a website task because our e-usage is, we're going to pull from only libguides link outs or something. So now let's see what it looks like here. So they're all still living under the main one, but it does say like, oh, the subtasks are in different areas. So anyway, yeah, and you can put time estimates in as well. But yeah, anybody have any ideas? I'm gonna delete these silly subtasks, which is very easy to do. Nothing like a solid bulk action. You really wish Elmo would get that memo. Yeah, so anybody have anything? We can look at the by frequency. Anybody have anything you do on a weekly basis that we could add to this task list?
Not weekly. I've got something that I do on a daily basis the first 2 weeks of the quarter.
Ooh.
So
okay, hold on. Let's add. So let's add it by system. So if we add it by system, it won't automatically assign a frequency. So are these Alma things?
It's an Alma thing, yes.
My Aunt Elma, I'll never say it right. Okay.
So every day for the first 2 weeks of the quarter, I check a report for internal user records that should be external and external user records that should be internal.
Is that because of something with your patron load, Lucy?
We have a lot of students who they'll show up and they'll register and then they immediately go to the library to check out their textbook. And because of that 24-hour delay between when something gets entered in CTC Link and when it shows up in Alma, a lot of times the first 2 weeks of the quarter we end up with a lot of students who will show up, they're registered, but they don't have a record in the system. And so we have to create one. And a lot of times the CERC folks are so busy that they make mistakes and they accidentally code the record as an internal record, which means then it won't get updated in the daily Alma load.
So in my frequency field, which I created, I am going to add a new option and we're going to say at beginning of, we're going to keep it real generic and say term.
Right, yeah.
And then under description, say daily for 2 weeks. And, then we do the rest of the full description. So it's a verify that internal and external user types are correctly applied. And there we go. And so then if you have say you have your link to your Alma report that you run, you can get that external link from Alma and you could put it in here and then you could give yourself the due date of the beginning of next quarter and then you would know and set recurring. So we're going to recur it daily and skip weekends, and we're not going to recur forever, and we're going to repeat it 12 times. So then we've got at least 2 weeks. Cool. So you can also set then you could do, so hold on. Yeah, close. So this, where was that one I had already? Okay, so review community zone updates. Let's make this due date. Let's say, you know what? I know that every single Wednesday I have time to do this. It's not going to happen on Mondays. So I'm going to say every Wednesday. We're not going to recur forever, but we are going to recur on a schedule. Ooh, create new task. Wow, cool. So if you wanted, you could mark it complete and then the new task would get created. So you would have a record of literally every time you had done it. And if you had issues or what you changed, you could make that comment. It would not be a separate thing. I don't think I would want to create a new task. I would just want to have all of the records of, you know, whatever it was I had to edit or any issues in the same thing. But we're going to just, you know, recur it 52 times for the next year. And now if I go into notification, I'm not assigned to it. So if you're assigned to it, I would have like what's going on. What do I need to do today? Yeah, everything's unscheduled. All my contacts. Yeah, so here's all the things that I did assign to myself that I have put into done status. But anyway, it is very cool, and this is the free version. There's obviously limits on the free version, but it's really around actions that would affect large multi-team organizations trying to collaborate across department. Like if you were like me using this for myself and keeping, you know, like our little teams kind of updated on things, is I don't think is going to run into the need to ever upgrade, because I don't need to like automate a process of, oh, it you know, oh yeah, okay. All right, subtask for CTC users. Okay, where is that one? So hold on. Okay, so the user load. And so maybe if you're trying to like check rejected users, you want to actually do this monthly and not quarterly. But we can do subtask of
actually, for admins, I've been checking it weekly just because we had some problems in the past, so we've been doing it weekly.
So this one, we could set this one as a weekly and then have like a different part of user load, like check in with IT to, you know, like make sure they know who it is who's monitoring this. And you can have that set, you know, like set on a different timeline. And so then and then maybe just like number of records processed, and then this one would be like at the beginning of a quarter, so that you do not end up like poor Will at Peninsula with thousands of new people. Oh, checking rejected patrons. So if you go into the job history under the integrations profile user load job history, it will show you how many records were processed. It's like a bunch of different sections, and you can scroll down and it'll tell you how many were rejected or processed or whatever. You don't have to even like go into your SFTP or anything. It's just in Alma. Is that right? Can someone check my off the top of my head? It's config general integration profiles CTC link job history.
I believe it's under admin. You can go into monitor jobs and it'll be under the history. And then once you open up the CTC link patron loans, they'll give you a whole bunch of options of successful, rejected. Then you can go in and see which accounts were rejected or not.
Yeah, so you don't have to go all the way into integration. Yeah, job history. Job results summary. Let me put that. So then in checking rejected users, we would go admin, monitor, jobs. It's someone remember what's the name of the job? It's like sync something.
Users synchronize users.
Yeah. Users.
I put the one in chat, the title.
Yes, thank you. And then the job results summary. So now we have that description and it auto saves. Right. And now it's just there. And so I expanded the subtasks. Okay, so, yeah. So I was thinking about like from this, then having a list of like what widgets can you put on your dashboard to monitor some of this stuff, because I never really used any dashboard widgets. But yes, you can add the scheduled job status widget, and you can probably customize that some so that you can get details on the community zone updates or on the CTC link load, or like whichever one it is. That is not an area that I have spent significant time investigating. So okay, so we've added some yes, so quarterly is the user load. Okay, Abby has a question about the summary status stuff.
Sorry, this is not about your board though, so I can put this on the list.
No. We can explore where it's needed. I can like open a thing.
But I guess, yeah, that might be something worthwhile too. I'd like us to help folks out, because I could read that there was this task, but I'm like, oh, I don't know not only where to find it, but what I should be expecting to see or something. It'll be great to have this all put together, Carly.
Yeah, well, and I'm hoping, like, because I can add, images, I can do a quick screen snap on it. And it just feels a lot more dynamic than like trying to use a Google Doc. That can get quite lengthy, or you've got a Google Doc but it links out to a spreadsheet, and then like the spreadsheet has an embedded image that then opens it. Like this seemed like a way to kind of keep it living a little bit more. So hold on. I was gonna go into that job summary thing. Oofed. Yeah, my computer is. Okay. And then the categories, you can limit to users. And I think it's report. And then if you go to rejected users, and here, then you can see what ID number it is, and then you could go investigate. So this was a rejected user from the student records. And it was rejected because it said it was not external. So you've got this ID is an internal record in your system. So then you could go see, like, okay, it didn't get updated from the load. Why? And then these, and I'm like, primary identifier taken by another user. That one has always confused me. So like, shouldn't it just say there were no updates on this user because it's supposed to be overlaying? Anybody? But then we have a few that we're like, oh, okay, they're not external. So those are your internals, and you might, just want to make sure that those are library staff. And I was thinking that so I go here and it may go to the exact, it does, so it shows a much longer history if you go here. So like you can see, on the 15th, more users were processed. And then you can view, and this is, the same as that other one. But then this is all of the different individual events that happened. So succeeded in updating, and you can see there's hundreds of pages. So that one's not really useful. But then what was the Sometimes I've dug into this error reporting thing. And I'm not sure it'll show us anything because it's not saying you had any failed files, but oh, but this is all of the details on so the files didn't fail, but the syncs did. So these are all the different. So these are all the ones that were not external. And since you've got, so like what's nice about this one is the same job is like showing in one file, whereas in the job monitor one, if you go to try and see the errors, it's it was by, you have your faculty load and you have your student load, or your staff and your student one, and so like you had to look at those two separately. So we look at this one. Which one did I pull? Was that today? Maybe it was. So when you look at this report and you try and see the rejected ones, you have to look by file. Whereas when I went into that integration profile report and exported, these are all of them. So, 66 total. That must not be the same day, but or how many headers were, no, yeah. And but you'd have to open up each of these to see which ID numbers were rejected, whereas the error report from the integration profile job history combines them. So anyway, it's just tiny little differences between things. Yeah, and checking out the history of in user details for rejected staff is always interesting. Like we were looking into something once, someone lost all of their search history, and I was like, well, unfortunately this person had a purge date that was set back for some weird reason, and then basically re-entered. So like system purged them and then brought them back. It was very strange, but it explained why some of their stuff was missing. Anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna keep kind of building this out. If you would like to be added to this workspace, so that you can actively collaborate on this, or check it out like in ClickUp, you can throw your email into chat and I will add you. And then we'll kind of get it into this looks pretty darn good, and then we'll export it so that even if folks don't want to use ClickUp, they can kind of have a checklist that they can specify to their own needs. So like, for example, the by assignee, we can add columns of the where's is it? Where's the description? Oh, maybe you can do that. Or no, it just opens. Okay, well, I'm gonna figure out how to. Okay, so visible columns, no, all columns. And we're gonna do CSV and all right. We'll see what happens when you export. Sure. Okay. And open with Excel. Okay, so we've got our task name, the status. So task content has all that description that I wrote up. So once we brainstorm this into real completeness, we can export it. And then if folks don't want to use Zoom, then there's still, you can still, like sort it by assignee and due date. And wow, that's, yeah. Everything. Here, I will stop sharing and we can kind of discuss the user load issue thing that's happening in chat, because I think there's some really valuable stuff coming up in chat. So checking the history on rejected staff, and then Kirsty, the error message load, because individuals that are employees are taking classes, so the records have employee and student files if they're coming in on separate loads. So it's interesting. So some of you have 2 files coming in that are employee student. Some have 2 files coming in that are address, no address. And some of you just have like 1 file coming in. And yeah, so this is one of the things I would really like to discuss with the state board, but also all of you guys. Like if we could figure out kind of like a standardized, almost not compromise, but like, okay, here are the user groups we're all going to use. And like here is the like the most common expiration date and purge dates. Then we could perhaps structure a query and bring in the files in a consistent way, and your institution might just like change your expiration and purge dates. And yeah, we definitely, Kirsty, have several institutions that want to create an employee student user group. And I think there are a lot of ITs that don't even know why there are multiple files or like what's going on. So yeah, I need to like talk to someone in an IT department who feels confident in what's going on, and isn't just kind of hunting and pecking in the dark. But it's an effort. So anyway, okay. Abby, I will invite you to the ClickUp group if anyone else wants in. Bobby, cool. Hold on. Okay, I'm inviting. Right, email, paste, invite. Okay, so you should all be getting emails, and you might, like have to check junk because external and all from ClickUp. And you will all be invited to the Whack to Click workspace. And so you will have access to the projects and everything. And I can, if need be, create, and you can create your own private space as well. So like, nothing I'm doing in here it's all for the consortium. I'm not, doing anything that's personal. Although, like people are like, oh yeah, I use this for my grocery list. And I was like, oh dang, I'm pretty sure that you could make this into the greatest automated meal planning system ever, because you could like add a card basically, because you can have cards and stuff. So you could add a card for the menu, and the menu could have like subtasks or checklists of the ingredients, and then you could pull all of those subtasks into your day as like things I need to do, and then it would be your grocery list for the week. But I'm gonna focus on the job that pays me money first before I start trying to do meal planning. Okay, I'm gonna keep recording for a little bit because we're still getting good chats on the user load issue. And I have invited everybody who put in their email address. Yeah, the chat log, I take that and I copy and paste it into the meeting doc that then gets linked on the website along with the recording. So I think I'm a couple weeks behind on that, but I can get that updated too. Okay, Linda, inviting you now. So yeah, so this I think we could, we could create spaces for project teams, for like troubleshooting, because it integrates so well with email, and it doesn't require if your institution doesn't let you do the whole Google with your institution email thing, it allows some access to information. I don't know. It's just another way to get information out there and collaborate and have a record of what we all do. So I'm excited to have this and to have the new workspace, because we officially have a Google workspace for education, and I have copied and uploaded the meeting minutes, all of them from the last 5 years, into the new workspace. And I'm just only moving things into the new workspace that people are like, yes, I use that. And then I will be creating Google groups around our rosters and to give people access to the documents that they need, and not just have public links on our public website to documents that could potentially give people access to our systems, because that's not cool. I don't know why anyone, I mean, maybe if they thought it was a backdoor to student information to create these fraudulent FAFSA accounts that I got an email about, or something, I don't know. But okay, last chat advice on user loads so that we have it in the record. And then I'll stop recording. All right, seeing nothing.